There is so much more to the practice of yoga than most people in Western cultures realize. We practice these physical postures and we work on our breath and we think, hey, I'm a yogi. And really there is so much more to learn about this beautiful practice. So today we're diving into the 8 limbs of yoga. So stay tuned. What's up, what's up, what's up, Omis? By the way, I love how so many of you are commenting that you love this Omis term. I thought it was fun and cute. I didn't make it up, don't know where I picked it up from, but I love that it's resonating with you guys and we're just throwing that Omi love, keeping it gangsta up in here, keeping it fun, keeping it light. It's Kinga from KingaGorski.com and welcome to living your most inspired life, my friends. So today we're covering the 8 limbs of yoga, but before we do, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you get all those fun notifications of when I post a new video. What? You're already subscribed? You already hit the bell notification? Thank you so much. You guys are rad. As was mentioned before, there is so much more in the world of yoga than just those physical poses. And while it is certainly a very specific part of anyone's practice of yoga, you can even practice yoga without the physical poses. There is so much more in terms of the mental capacity, spiritual side of yoga. I don't think that there's anything wrong with someone being brought to yoga through the physical aspect of it. That is certainly how I found my way into yoga and how so many people, particularly in Western cultures, get introduced to yoga. And so if that's the introduction that you find yourself on, then power to you. Don't let anyone judge you for that. The 8-limbed path is also known as ashtanga yoga. So in Sanskrit, the word ashtanga can be broken down into 2 parts, where ashta means 8 and ang or anga, I've heard it both ways, means limbs. These 8 limbs of yoga are described more in depth in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, where they depict the vastness of the practice of yoga. Now, this particular book is translated by Sri Swami Satchidananda, which is the book that I'm familiar with. I've read this twice since I began my teacher training. I'm due for a 3rd read of it just to stay fresh, stay on top of everything. I really liked it. I found it was very accessible, especially when I was brand new to yoga, and really helped me to understand more of the philosophy side of it. There are certainly many books and texts that you can read for yourself, but I would definitely recommend this one if you're interested. Now, this video is going to be a very brief overview of all of the 8 limbs. There are definitely other videos out there that you can just search in the bar above and they'll really do a deeper dive into these, but just to give you this overarching 30,000-foot view of what these 8 limbs are. The first 6 limbs of yoga are what we're in control of practicing, and the other 2 are what may happen with consistency and commitment to the practice of the other 6 limbs. Now, keep in mind that these 8 threads of yoga are eventually intended to be practiced all together when you do have an understanding of them. However, they are meant to be initially practiced in order, starting with the first limb, moving through eventually to the 8th limb. And I don't think there's anything wrong with giving your full attention and focus to one section at a time when you do have a deeper understanding. So going from maybe the 2nd limb to the 4th limb and then bouncing around a little bit. However, you do want to start at the beginning where it's more tangible, actionable, easy to understand, and then as you move toward the 8th limb, it does get quite a bit more abstract. So you'll see why in a moment. The first limb of yoga are the yamas, and these are restraints to practice within the body and the mind. And we covered the yamas in this video that you can click right above in this link. I'll also have it down in the description box below. So these restraints, or things basically not to do, include ahimsa, which is practicing non-violence to ourselves, to other people, through words, through thoughts, and through actions. Satya, which is non-lying, telling the truth, including those little white lies, being honest wherever possible. Asteya, non-stealing of other people's possessions, of course, but also their time and their energy. Aparigraha, not being greedy, being fulfilled with everything that you already have in your life, knowing that you already are abundant. And finally, brahmacharya, which is non-excess. It's restraint of that sexual energy. It's non-excess in worldly pleasures, of not taking more than we need, just having that self-control. The second limb of yoga are the niyamas, which we also covered in a previous video, and you can check that right above. Also, a link in the description is in the box below if you need to come back to it. The niyamas are more observances with the body, so we get more into a sort of mindfulness this practice, and not just with ourselves, but with other people as well. So while the yamas are things not to do and self-restraint, the niyamas are things to do, to practice and observing. These include saucha, which is purity of cleanliness of your temple of the body with the food you eat, with not abusing drugs and alcohol, with purity of language, which I might need to work on sometimes, but you know, I'm human. Also cleanliness of the space around you, not having that clutter so you can have a clear space and clear mind. It includes santosha, contentment, really being appreciative and grateful for everything, all the abundance that you have now. Even if it's just your breath, it's something to be grateful for. Another niyama is tapas, self-discipline, having that internal fire stoked within. Svadhyaya, which is self-study and also the study of spiritual texts in yoga, really getting to know ourselves better and knowing the practice of yoga better. And the final niyama this includes is Ishvara Pranidhana, which is to surrender to the divine, maybe to your soul. It's surrendering this control that we all often so feel like we need to have. It's just letting go, trusting that we're taken care of, trusting that we are part of the greater universe and that all is as it should be. The third limb of yoga is asana, which now brings us to the physical practice. It's interesting that it's the third limb of yoga and not the first, because it's so popular, as was mentioned before, in Western culture, and most people don't even know that there is so much more to the wonderful practice of yoga. And so we actually are meant to start with those yamas and niyamas first, practicing mastering ourselves to a degree of our mind, of our impulses and natural inclinations, and then we move to mastering the body. With the practice of asana, it is more than just getting fit or exercising, but it's getting to be more in tune with this physical container that is the body that houses our true self. And this is when we practice those flowing movements or challenging our physical bodies to get a deeper mastery and knowing of where we can take it. And by finding deeper control of our body, it actually helps to find deeper control of our mind and thought processes as well. The fourth limb of yoga is pranayama, which I've done a couple videos on as well. You can check them out just right above here. I'll link the playlist down in the description. Essentially, by practicing pranayama, this focus on that internal life force energy, that oxygen that flows within us, it also focuses on conscious inhalations, kumbhaka, which is that breath retention or holding the breath, and then that conscious exhalation. Pranayama is also in conjunction with asana, one breath, one movement, to really focus on the energetic body and the physical body to find that marriage and rhythm and flow between the two. The fifth limb of yoga is Pratyahara, which can be a very, very challenging one. It is about withdrawal of the senses. And if you think of your five senses that people have, touch, taste, sound, smell, and sight, it's interesting that there's five senses, and then Pratyahara is the fifth limb of yoga, but it is about withdrawing them from these external sensory stimuli and this quick gratification that we all lean so quickly toward. It is about removing those so we can heighten our own inner awareness. The sixth limb of yoga is Dharana, or concentration, really building the skill of focus. And this actually comes before the seventh limb of yoga, which we'll talk about in a second. Our minds are like pinball machines. I know mine is on so many days, and I'm very hyper aware of this. And to really allow yourself to be able to have that singular focus, that one pointed awareness, is to concentrate on a single task, a single object, and not allow yourself to be so easily distracted and pulled into a million other directions. So those are the first six limbs of yoga that we've covered that are within our control to implement more on a regular basis. Now, as we transition over to the last two limbs, limb 7 and 8, these are the things that may come about in time with consistent and regular practice of the first six. The seventh limb of yoga is dhyana, or meditation. Now we come to meditation, even though it is gaining more popularity in Western culture as well, because it's been so well documented in scientific research and studies today by universities and other well-established publications and scientists, that there are so many ways that meditation does actually change the brain, not only in how we function, but even the size of certain parts of the brain. Meditation does have an effect. Now, the interesting thing with meditation, which if you're looking to get into it, here's a great video that I made about 4 reasons why you should start. But the interesting thing is that we all generally typically have this understanding that meditation is about clearing the mind, of having zero thoughts. Well, that's why the sixth limb, Dharana, concentration, actually comes before meditation. If you can allow yourself to actually intentionally concentrate on a thought or a single object, like a little statue or photo or candle flame or something like that, if you can't even concentrate on one thing, how can you expect to rid yourself completely and clean yourself of all the tens of thousands of thoughts that human beings have every single day? So concentration is where you want to start, and then ultimately when you get so lost, so to speak, in the concentration that you zen out, which is why it's hard to explain. It's more of just this ethereal sense that you have, this bliss of not even knowing that you're meditating. That's where we start to really transition into true meditation. It's not about having the thought, oh wow, I think I'm doing it. I think I'm meditating. I just realized I had no thoughts. Well, that wasn't true meditation, because even having the thought of not having thoughts is a thought in itself. I know. One final analogy about meditation and just the difficulty to explain the sensation is if you envision yourself sleeping, of course you're unconscious, but sleep isn't just something you do. Sleep just happens, you're there, you're in it, and then you come out of it. Well, similarly with meditation, except that you're conscious, it's not something that you can just bring yourself into. It's just something that happens, it's around you, it's the state of heightened consciousness that you're in, but you lose that sense of self. And the eighth and final limb, which is also very challenging to explain, but I'll try my best very briefly, is samadhi. And that is known as this super consciousness transcended into this higher state of being. When one reaches samadhi, you've merged with the object of your meditation, you've attained something called moksha, which in Indian philosophy and religion is known as liberation, complete liberation, reaching this ultimate freedom, this ultimate bliss. In Buddhism, it's known as nirvana, which is just this sameness, this loss of yourself. There's neither suffering, there's neither desire, there is literally just being with that true essence of yourself in this elevated state of super consciousness. Now you have a better understanding of more of the practice of yoga and just how deep these concepts and philosophies can go, which, as you can tell after today's video, exceeds so much farther than the physical postures that we know so well in the West today. I do plan on going farther into more of these in future videos, but if you are interested in doing some more of your own practice and your own homework, I highly recommend that you pick up either this book, the translation is again by Sri Swami Satchidananda, or there are surely so many other texts that you can pick up at your local library and see what works for yourself, see what fits, see what catches your eye, your interest, your attention. You can even just do a search in the bar above. There's so much information on the interwebs. At the end of the day here, my friends, allow your inner teacher to guide you as well. I'm always a student first, teacher second. I'll actually say I'm a human first, student second, teacher third. So that is a big 30,000 foot view of the 8 limbs or threads of yoga. I'll also be sure to dive into the rest of the 8 limbs in future videos, but definitely let me know which one stands out to you and maybe if there's something that you unexpectedly learned today. Now, in order to help you implement some of what we've learned today, I've created a quick little guide. It's my breathwork and meditation toolkit. You can download it absolutely for free. It's linked in the description box below for you. Take just 5 quick minutes out of your busy days to just get grounded and watch those benefits roll in just one day at a time, one quick 5-minute session at a time. If you dig the information that I shared today, I would love if you would give me a like on this video below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm releasing videos every single Wednesday, and share this out to that fellow yogi in your life who could use a deeper dive into their practice, because knowledge really is power at the end of the day. Thank you so much as always for watching. You guys are rad, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.